So what's up with this weird sideways bull market? Is it manipulation? Is it something else? Let's discuss this first chart. And Bitcoin closed September at 63,000, and it's the 8th month in a row that it's in a 60k to 70k trading range. It's really weird, and it never happened before. Normally, the bull markets, yes, it is still in a bull market because it's red dot, bull market. And normally a bull market means price go up. Historically, when it's red, when it's bull market, prices went up in 2011, 2013, 2017, and 2020, 2021. But not now. Now it's sideways. And I do not believe in manipulation. Yes, it can be manipulation, but not for 8 months. That's something different at work, I think.
Bitcoin just did something it has never done before in its history. For the past 8 months, Bitcoin has closed between $60,000 and $70,000. Bitcoin has never traded sideways for this long in a bull market. So, what's going on? Is Bitcoin being manipulated? That's what PlanB answered in his latest update to investors. Instead of the price being manipulated, PlanB believes the answer to why the market has been going sideways for so long is twofold. First, Bitcoin already had a fast run-up before the halving, going from $20,000 in late 2023 to $73,000 before the halving. The second reason is even more simple. If there's one thing markets hate, it's uncertainty. The US election is hanging over the crypto market, creating a huge cloud of uncertainty. The US election will have huge ramifications on the trajectory of crypto, and PlanB personally knows various whales and large buyers waiting on the sidelines to see who is elected before buying. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video, where PlanB breaks down his price predictions and outlook for Bitcoin's next few months. Also guys, only a small percentage of my viewers subscribe. If you enjoy finance content, consider subscribing or liking the video. It's free, and you can always change your mind. Now here's PlanB with his Bitcoin outlook.
I do not believe in manipulation. Yes, it can be manipulation, but not for 8 months. That's something different at work, I think. So another explanation could be that we had a too early pre-halving pump because of the ETFs. And the halving was somewhere here around April. And we even had a new all-time high before the halving, which had never happened before. But basically we pumped from the bottom around 20k to 40k, 60k, 73k, and that is something that's unusual because normally the accumulation phases are quite stable or rising, but not that fast. So yeah, that could be it. A pre-halving, too early pump. But surely, and surely, it would have felt different if we had an increase that would go gradually from this 20k to 63k instead of this jump here, this ETF jump, and then flat for 8 months, which feels weird, but the same result with a gradual increase would have felt a lot different, although the end outcome would be exactly the same. So what can we see in the moving average chart? The moving average chart is, it shows the same thing. It has this 8 month flat period here. Note, by the way, that the color is different in the moving average chart. It's months until the next halving, not the phase we're in, not the bull bear market. It's just a timer. And the halving is at month 0. So when blue switches to red. So this is a halving in 2016. This is one in 2020. And this is the latest in 2024. And well, as we can see, there was a flat period in 2015 as well. Quite long, more than half a year. I think it's also 8 months here. But that was a bear market, of course, at around 250k. More comparable, I think, is this flat period here in 2019, 2020. That's around 10,000, little under $10,000, and also a period with a halving in there. So that's very comparable, I think, to where we are right now, because we back then we also had this pre-halving too early pump, and then COVID that really spoiled the party. But that was basically a 1 month event in the end, because the money printer went on, the QE was started, and then that was the trigger for the entire bull market. Of course, Michael Saylor started buying Bitcoin here. Later, Elon Musk went positive on Bitcoin, but that was sort of the trigger. And it's a bit of the same period, same pre-halving pump situation above the moving average. So this black line, of course, is the moving average, and we use it to smooth out the noise. So right now it's 40K, and Bitcoin for the entire 8 months flat period is above that 200-week moving average. Same here in 2019, 2020. So yeah, moving average is increasing, just like back then. It's still increasing. So as long as it's increasing, it's okay, in my opinion. And Bitcoin will find its trigger for the next pump. And I have heard that many large buyers are just waiting for the US elections in November. And that makes sense, because why run the risk if you can wait a couple of weeks and have total clarity and certainty? And the risk obviously being a Democratic Biden-Harris win, which is bad for Bitcoin. So whales waiting for the US elections could very well be the reason for this 8-month sideways price movement. Just one explanation. So we look at RSI, the relative strength index. This chart looks a little bit different because I added this moving average, 12-month moving average in there. And the background has this black line in the middle at 65, which is about the average RSI through the history of Bitcoin. And the bear and bull markets dance around this black line. So right now, RSI is 63, so very close to this average of 65, this black line. And what we see is that this moving average, again, smooths out all the noise. And for example, here, it was a very clean period where the actual RSI numbers followed the moving average, tracked the moving average, I should say, quite well. But here in 2013, this bull market was quite noisy, and the moving average tracks right through it. But there's months way above this moving average and months way below. And the same is true, for example, for 2019 and 2020. And we talked about this period before at the moving average sheet. And we see it's very noisy there. We had this pre-halving pump too early, then a correction, and then of course COVID as a kind of, well, black swan, which really put a dent even in the moving average. But the moving average kept rising and rising, and then here in the bull market, it's all on track again. And actually, you see the same thing right now. Back then, it felt like front running in 2019, front running the halving. There was all talk about the halving and stock to flow, of course, which was published here. There was talk about front running. We have that same talk about front running right now with the ETFs, where retail had the opportunity to front run Wall Street for the first time. So we had this too early, before the halving pump. And then, of course, there was this dump after the halving because of government selling, Mt. Gox selling. But all in all, moving average was pretty stable and rising. So, in my opinion, the flat bull market that we see in the price can be just optics. A rising trend disguised by noise and mixed signal. Because if this were a gradual growth from all the way from 15 to the current 63,000 Bitcoin price, then the RSI would be not this noisy, and we would be not that confused about this sideways Bitcoin price. Next chart. And now it becomes really interesting. This is the Bitcoin realized price. So that's like the average cost price of Bitcoin. And there's 3 realized prices in this chart. The realized price, that looks at the whole history, price history, is 32,000 at the moment and rising. The 2-year realized price, that only looks at the last 2 years and the Bitcoins that were bought in those 2 years, the cost price of those Bitcoins, is at 51,000 at the end of September and rising. And the very short-term 5-month realized price, light blue line, is at 63 and rising. Well, it's sort of flat, but last month it did rise a little bit. So I tweeted about this earlier, and I said, maybe you remember it, Bitcoin is the next stable coin, is now a stable coin because of this 8-month flat period. And I also tweeted 60,000 is the new 10,000. Why did I tweet that? Because this 2019-2020 period that we talked about before in the moving average chart and the RSI chart, it felt exactly the same like right now. It felt like boring, flat line, there will never be a bull market again, stock to flow failed, Bitcoin is dead, whatever. Actually, if you go further back, we had that same boring periods in 2014 to 2016 at a much lower level, of course. It was about 400, 500 at the time. And even before that, in 2012, there was a period where Bitcoin, and also in the bear market, of course, but where that flat period was making people think like there would never be a bull market again. And yet this is basically my opinion about this flat bull market at the moment. I think Bitcoin is most of the time in a boring flatline situation. And in fact, 3 of the 4 years are boring and nothing, and just some very short periods just after the halving caused those big jumps in price, those big fundamental and structural jumps in price. Fundamental and structural because Bitcoin jumps up and does not return. Of course, there is a crash after a big pump every time, but it will never return to that original level. And so in fact, it's just a matter of some patience. And there's it's even so common that there is a meme of this, but we'll get to that later. But this stepwise function of a long wait and then a short pump after the halving, long wait, halving, pump, long wait. We just had this halving. That, of course, is the very basis, the core of the stock to flow model. Non-linear, stepwise, and after the halving, fundamental growth. That is the signature of the 4-year cycle. And the meme that comes with that is, come on, Bitcoin, do something. And that's a very old meme, by the way, so it's still valued and true today. And so in my opinion, the trading range is quite normal, the trading range that we're in right now, and patience is needed. So in my opinion, the pump will come at, the time that Bitcoin thinks it's right.
So there's a plan on why he believes the market has been trading sideways because of the uncertainty of the looming US election. This makes sense. Whichever party gets into office will have huge effects on the trajectory of crypto and its prices. To recap PlanB's predictions, he expects Bitcoin to break above $70,000 in October, followed by new all-time highs in November if Trump wins the US election. And December could be the biggest month yet, with potential ETF inflows driving Bitcoin up to $150,000. With so much at stake, it's clear that the coming months could be a game changer for Bitcoin and the entire crypto market. What do you think? Are these price targets realistic, or is there more volatility ahead? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you find this video insightful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates on the latest in finance and crypto. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.